My name is Kenny Kim, and I am Matt Made.
My name's Charles Boston Strong Rosa, UFC featherweight. Yeah, I'm from Boston, Boston, Massachusetts. So that's my nickname, Boston Strong. I represent the UFC when Bruce Buffer announces it. And before I found the mixed martial arts, I grew up in Boston being like a hockey player. I went to culinary school. I went to Johnson & Wales in Providence, Rhode Island. That was one of my passions. I come from a large Italian family, graduated with a degree in culinary arts, and something I still use in my, I ended up being a UFC fighter. So, but like something I still use in my career. I definitely use it a lot for my diets and nutrition when I'm doing my weight cuts. There's always a couple bullet points the UFC will list for each fighter, and one of the things that when they list me when I'm coming is, BJJ black belt, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. It's pretty much my silver bullet. Like when I'm fighting, it's what allows me to be great. I'm a good striker, good wrestler, tough as nails, but I usually get most of my finishes and, my bonuses from submissions. So I take a lot of pride in that. Jiu-Jitsu really saved my life, and mixed martial arts in general. And that's why, I love it so much, and I think I'm really great at it because I love it. When I was 16 and the following year when I was 17, I lost my two older brothers, Dominic and Vincent, to accidental drug overdoses. So, I went from being the youngest brother to pretty much the oldest brother because I had my two younger brothers, Lucas and Francis, who were identical twins, and it was hard. I lost them both consecutively in 2 years. So we started a charity called Chucky's Fight, and it's a charity help dedicated to knock out substance abuse. So my dad's helped, thousands of kids and raised hundreds of thousands of dollars to help get people in the treatment centers that don't have the funds to do so. One thing I've learned from him more than any jiu-jitsu and anything else is what the jiu-jitsu has impacted lives. And it's not just about the physical getting in shape, but it's also mental health. And that's something huge Laborio is on. And I think that's what jiu-jitsu's helped me with the most is mental health and, being a better person, and also getting in shape too. So that helps and makes you feel better. You look better, you feel better, and everything works out. Hey guys, UFC fighter Charles Boston Strong Rosa, and I'm Matt Made.
When I was 7 years old, I was diagnosed with autism. It makes some parts of life challenging, like relationships. My parents would go months without hearing from me, and it wasn't because I intentionally did it on purpose to worry them or anything like that. It was just difficult for me to share things because I don't have that social need to reach out to them. Before jiu-jitsu, I couldn't go out and talk to strangers, but now I can joke around with them, and I suddenly found myself with tons of new friends, dozens of friends, where I can say hey guys, let's go out, which is something that was impossible for me before. I learned that I can be confident and that being yourself isn't something that turns people away. Mats have changed my life. It made me into the person I am today. My name is Juan Orozco, and I'm Matt Made.
I was in the Peace Corps right out of college, and I was in Central America, and I got a strain of polio, and so originally I couldn't move anything from about here down. I've gotten movement back in both legs and some strength, but I use a wheelchair for mobility pretty much all the time now. The way jiu-jitsu helps me off the mat is it has made me more mobile. When I'm out of my chair, it has made me stronger. It's also given me a lot of confidence. This has been another level of doing things against able-bodied people, bigger people, smaller, faster, it doesn't matter. That's one of the cool things about jiu-jitsu, and so it's just been helpful all the way around. There's a lot of folks that I know who use wheelchairs who, if they fall on the floor, they can't get back in it. I can get in by myself. I can move around if I'm on the floor. So it just, that strength and agility has just helped a lot. Hi, I'm Glenn Ashlock, and I'm Matt Made.
We give you a real story about the power of the network that you're in that extends beyond the mat. I get a voicemail. Hey, Roddy, it's Tracy. Just give me your call. I filed for divorce, and the kids are with me. I'm thinking to myself, now is a perfect time to just drive my car right off the expressway. And when I was in one of the roughest spots of my life, I made a call to a hotline. I called my mom, and the next person I called was my professor in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And the advice that he gave me was some of the best advice that you'll ever have in life. He said, "You been to the Olympics?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You fought MMA?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Just one more fight." He said, "You gotta go back to the corner." He said, "You gotta sit down." He said, "You gotta get yourself together, and you gotta do one more fight."
I was going through a pretty rough period of my life, kind of like struggling with addiction and some other stuff. It brought just this whole new world into my life, new friends, new environment. And I fell in love with that first, and then I fell in love with the competitive side of it. It gave me like a sense of purpose in a way that I never ever had before, like the drive. I've never felt something that like drove me to be better. But when I got into jiu-jitsu, the competitive side of it was just like so challenging for me. It took me like deep inside my core and made me pull out some things that I had kind of like pushed to the side, didn't really want to address, and made me face those things and just change my life forever. If you are struggling with any kind of demon, addiction, like self-esteem, especially being like a female, please just like one day on the mat, and I think it would change your life forever. I am Maria Rios, and I am Matt Made.
The biggest thing that I really like about jiu-jitsu is that it makes you be okay with like sucking at something, you know? It's okay to not be good. There's a lot of good life lessons in jiu-jitsu, you know, always facing your issues. Like, so we turn shrimp, face your issues, you know, that's usually the best defense. It makes everything in life just a little bit easier to kind of have those philosophies and for like work, relationships, whatever. Come get uncomfortable, you know, and you'll be amazed what's on the other side of uncomfortable. I'm Sebastian Wong, and I'm Matt Made.
So kind of a crazy story how I started jiu-jitsu. I was an athlete my whole life, and then I got this really weird thing where my feet swole up and I had to go to the hospital, and I ended up getting diagnosed with an autoimmune illness. For 5 years, I wasn't allowed to even exercise, like not even yoga, nothing. I obviously went through a big depression, didn't know what to do, was trying to find something that I could do, and everything hurt. And I had some friends who kept trying to tell me to do jiu-jitsu. I finally gave it a shot, and I was like, I'm never gonna be able to do this. I'm gonna be in pain. The first night, I felt really good, and I kept showing up. I kept not being in pain, and my doctors actually figured out that it subsided all of my side effects. I'm completely in remission from my autoimmune disease, so jiu-jitsu really did save my life. I'm Saida Durkee, Ginger Ninja, and I'm Matt Made.
I came into the US in 2003, traveling the entire world, and I was getting a little chubby, 230 pounds of chubbiness. Where I lived to my work, there was a big sign, kickboxing. I come from a kickboxing background, so I said, you know what, I gotta get back in shape. Started training in January 2005, and then the owner said, why don't you start doing jiu-jitsu? Rolling around with sweaty guys in pajamas, not so much my thing. All right, let's make a deal. He's kick and punch me, I'll just do jiu-jitsu. Put on the gloves just to make sure I didn't hurt him too much. I tried to hit him. Before I knew it, I was on my back in complete panic. What just happened? Signed up the same day, never looked back. My name is Kemal Verhoeven, and I'm Matt Made.
I hope this Matt Made story has inspired you. If you have your own personal story of how these mats have changed your life, I would love to hear it. Click the link in our bio.
Man, jiu-jitsu's impacted my life big time off of the mats. You know, I think every man, we have a sense of masculinity or manliness where, you know, you believe that you could defend yourself if you had to. And it wasn't until I started training on the mats on a daily basis to where I realized how helpless I really was. You know, in my early 20s in college, when I was walking around like a tough guy with all this testosterone, thinking I could defend myself, to where I am now that I actually test myself every day on the mats. It's just made me a much more calm individual, someone that could, you know, go out, be calm, be peaceful, humble, have a good time, you know, so, you know, it's helped me in that sense. Then also just in business sense, you know, every day when you deal with adversity, struggles, difficulty, you know, the lessons that you learn in jiu-jitsu, pushing yourself to the limits on a day-to-day basis helps you, you know, everywhere. I'm Justin Cobb, and I'm Matt Made.
I started jiu-jitsu at 51, and after almost 10 years of training, I got my black belt at 60. When I started, I weighed 220 pounds, and in about 4 months, I dropped like 60 pounds. Because I compete, every 2 or 3 months, I'd get on a scale, and it was easy to keep the weight off because I had that check. To me, it's the ultimate exercise because your bike and you get tired, you can slow down because your bike's not going to choke you out. If you're jogging, you can slow down. You're not going to armbar yourself while jogging. And jiu-jitsu just keeps you on point, keeps your body active and your mind active. I'm Matt Grant, and I'm Matt Made.
I finished the Olympics in 2004, moved to Boca Raton, Florida, Needed a new place to train. I was a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, working towards my black belt. I qualified for Abu Dhabi Submission Wrestling World Championships. I got it going on. And Professor Laborio says, hey, you want to roll around?
I don't remember none of that.
I said, no problem, because for me, I'm getting ready to smoke this old guy. This is what I'm thinking. I am out of the Olympics. I'm cut up like a piece of charcoal. I get on the mat with Ricardo Laborio. Ricardo, close guard, hand on the sleeve, grabs the outside knee, hips up, turns, mount, choke. I said, let's go again. So we go again. We go again. This time I go hard. I go stand up, boom, the pass. He wraps his legs around my legs, turn me, mount, choke. I look at Renato Tavares, and Renato says, hey man, he does everybody like this. I got submitted in 60 seconds 3 times.
Oh, Jiu-Jitsu's helped me a ton off the mats. I have a pretty high stress job, and because I fight on the mats and I learned to be comfortable in very uncomfortable situations, my stress at work is just manageable. It's okay. The hits keep coming at work and I can just, okay, breathe one at a time. As long as I'm breathing, I'm good. If anybody who's considering jiu-jitsu out there, just go do it. It's fun. It will improve your confidence, your ability to think on your feet. You will find an amazing community of people and some just lifelong friends. I'm Amy Martinez, and I am mat made.
I had a gym up in Canada that went under because of COVID. I'm living literally like a gypsy, driving around city to city, gym to gym. I got my whole family living in a travel trailer. I've been doing jiu-jitsu for 15 years now. Been a black belt for about 3. I got into it up in Canada before it was really a thing. It's interesting that the way that jiu-jitsu and life parallels each other is sometimes when life gets hard, jiu-jitsu is what's going to get you back centered. And sometimes when jiu-jitsu gets hard, it helps to center your life. I don't know where I would be without jiu-jitsu because so much of my life revolves around that. I started an Instagram page called Because Jitsu, where I've got like over 170,000 followers there. And it all started from breaking through a plateau. I'm just really blessed to have been able to find this art form. I'm Drew Weatherhead, and I'm mat made.
When I was starting off, I had really bad asthma, so I really couldn't do a lot of the other sports. So the first time I ever rolled with somebody was this little Brazilian guy tapped me out and twisted me up. I'm like, I want to learn how to do this. So I just started doing it. And then one thing led to another, started doing it more, competing more, and then met all these wonderful people and been doing it nonstop. It's just helpful for like mind, you know, for just kind of clear your mind. You have a really bad day, get on the mat, have a good sweat with the tribe, and it's just really cool. My name's Julius Mobley. I'm definitely a mat made.
You know, I was a firefighter for 30 years. I retired out of firefighting, and I really didn't have anything outside of it. Having come from a firefighter for 30 years, a paramedic for 33 years, the structure of those type things, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. What's the next thing in my life? So when I got into it, it kind of grounded me, and it helped me mentally say, okay, I'm all right. There's another chapter in my life. Jiu-jitsu has really grounded me and helped me mentally and made me tough mentally so that as things come forward in my life, I'm more able to deal with them and accept and say either, okay, I can deal with that, or we can change it or we can't. And it's just truly been a blessing to me. My name is Terry Stewart, and I'm mat made.
You come in as a white belt and you evolve as a blue belt, and you get a purple belt, you think you know everything. You find out when you get a black belt, you don't know what? Nothing. You go all the way back to white belt and you learn all the moves that you didn't learn the first time. And then all the fancy stuff that you thought you needed, you're like, man, I don't need that. And the reason why you say you don't need it, because you can't do it. You're constantly evolving. That evolution process that you have in jiu-jitsu, it happens in life. Those stripes on the belt, they don't mean what you think they mean. So you think those stripes on the belt have to do with a certain grade or a certain ranking. Those stripes on the belt are an equation. The equation is time plus experience equals wisdom. They got time that you don't have. They have experiences that you don't have. And they have wisdom that you don't have.
I started training jiu-jitsu at the age of 54, and I'm currently 66. I was single, divorced, and I didn't really like the hobbies of book clubs or wine tasting. Because of my age, at 54, I was a little afraid. Even though they were all, 30 years younger than me in their 20s, I stepped in and haven't been off the mat since I was 65 when I got my black belt. It was just amazing because when I started this journey at age 54, I guess I never thought about that I would ever live long enough to be a black belt because it just seemed like something way away or not touchable. And then I realized it's just the beginning. I'm Betty Broadhurst, and I'm a black belt, Master 7, and I'm mat made.
Had back surgery probably 4 years ago. Didn't know if I'd ever do anything again. Came into jiu-jitsu a couple years ago. Always was fascinated with it, finally pulled the trigger. My favorite thing about this is that my family does it with me. My wife joined shortly after, and my kids, my 3 kids, are doing it. They're having a lot of fun. I couldn't be prouder watching my kids grow. I quit drinking back in February, which was huge. I've lost probably 20 pounds in 2 years. My back is great. One of the 16-year-old teammates said, "I hope I'm as flexible as you when I get your age." It's been a journey of tenacity, fighting through injuries, soreness, going to the bar is not a priority. Coming here, being with my teammates, my family, this is a priority. I'm living my best life. My name's Anthony Hazen, and I'm mat made.
My story is I'm a Christian. I'm a born-again Christian. I pastor a church. And to start jiu-jitsu for me was another thing to do. But the longer I did jiu-jitsu, the more proficient in the sport I got, the more I realized that jiu-jitsu and Christianity are the exact same thing. There's much forgiveness and there's much struggle. There's a lot of enemies and there's a lot of friends. And when you could take the flesh part of your life and apply it to jiu-jitsu principles, and then have the spiritual part of your life and apply it to Christianity, denying of self, constant forgiveness, the unity that you'll find is like nothing else I ever have. I will definitely equate my furtherance in jiu-jitsu with Christ, but I will also credit my belief in jiu-jitsu as a system with the furthering of my relationship with Christ. My name is Ryan Gitman, and I am mat made.
Over the past year, I've been battling a pretty serious bone tumor in my femur. It kept me off the mats for about a year, and through Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, overcoming the injury, maybe there weren't techniques that I couldn't do, but just showing up, Professor Gibson in this school, they were able to show me the techniques that I can do, and that's just what I've always tried to focus on. Maybe one game won't work with an injury, but there's always something that works for someone with Jiu-Jitsu, and that's what keeps me coming back. Whether you're injured, whether you're sore, there's a technique that'll work around your disability. I used to look at it as far as like what I can do, but as the belt progresses, I realize people come to me for questions, people come to me for insight. So I like being able to give back to the new people that are just as hungry as I was when I first started doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm Michael Williams, and I'm mat made.
I started jiu-jitsu when I was at age 43, so that's going on 15 years ago. I finished up my career in law enforcement, and what I wanted to do was stay involved in some form of combat art. Along the way, I ended up dealing with a bunch of medical issues that caused me to have a series of surgeries. And one of the things that I could always count on was my return to the mat. I kind of used it as a goalpost, as something to return to. Having life-threatening illness come up several times during my jiu-jitsu career made me appreciate the art and kept me strong mentally. It actually turned into a form of therapy. It was more than just an art. It was more than just a sport. It was more than just combat. It was something that I can do to prove to myself that I could return and be somewhat of an athlete as I aged. I'm Dennis Healy, and I'm mat made.
Just to share my jiu-jitsu with you guys, we're gonna be doing a story on Elaine. Let's give her a hand, guys. We all say we want to be training when we're 60, 70, and she's a testament to, what jiu-jitsu can do. Anyways, guys, let's get about in. All right, feet together. I'm here at Black Label Martial Arts in Charleston, South Carolina. I feel the vibe. Usually when you first walk in, you can immediately feel the gym vibe. Walk in, people are smiling, they're saying hello.
I believe culture is a huge, huge thing. It makes or breaks your gym, and it is what you walk into every day. Luckily, we've become a family-oriented culture.
Once I've shown the actual technique that I want everybody to work on, I usually walk around critiquing the moves as they're doing it, and they have questions, I can answer that for them. That's I think, most important part about not only a seminar or any kind of class is that interaction, that positive interaction, that positive energy that we're trying to feed while we're doing this.
So I woke up this morning really excited to have an opportunity to learn from Kenny Kim.
and get a chance to roll him and learn something new. You know, building that confidence to get better at this martial art, as this is a journey. And you know, I take it one day at a time. I'm not in a rush because I found something for me that works.
I've been training Jiu-Jitsu for about 18 years. Jiu-Jitsu's really helped me just with discipline, goal setting. I mean, as a competitor in Jiu-Jitsu, I saw a lot of those lessons transfer over to my everyday life. So not only in school, when I was at the university earning my degree, and my career now as a business owner, owning an American top team MMA academy, and as just a person, as a dad, as a husband, it really just makes you want to be a better version of yourself. So as we humbly try to get better at Jiu-Jitsu and daily come in and try to improve, I see that those same type of mindset, that same mentality transfers over to every other aspect of my life. My name is Jason Patino, and I'm Matt Made.
Jiu-Jitsu for me started literally on a whim. It was like a New Year's resolution. It was like, all right, it's January 1st. I'm gonna try something different. I walked into a dojo. After a few classes, started rolling, and there was this guy, maybe weighed 135 pounds. I was probably like almost 100 pounds more than him. He absolutely just beat the crap out of me. I was like, how is this even possible? I'm bigger than you, I'm faster than you, I'm stronger than you. And he just absolutely destroyed me. I was like, wow, this is kind of cool. It's cool because every single day you can improve just a little bit, and you realize that the journey is really lifelong. My name is Andrew Leshusky, and I am Matt Made.
I spent just under 15 years in the Marine Infantry, but after I got out, I got wounded. I had a lot of medical and mental issues. I attempted suicide a few times. I grabbed a gun, I was gonna kill myself, and then I had my service dog, and she was there, she jumped in my lap, knocked the gun out of my hand. So, I mean, every day I go on Facebook, every day I go on Instagram, whatever, and you hear about another veteran that killed himself. And one of the biggest things that I always said was, whenever you cleared a room in combat or cleared a house in combat, you never did it alone, right? You always were with at least a buddy or a fire team or a squad. Why, when you're having an issue, do you do it alone? Jiu-Jitsu absolutely saved my life. I would say, and I've said this before, I probably would have committed suicide multiple times within the past couple of years if I really didn't have this going for me. So my mission now is to find others that need the help and get them on the mats. I mean, so you get sweaty and dirty. Just get on the mats and do it. I promise it'll help. I am Michael Wishnia, and I am Matt Made.
Before Jiu-Jitsu, I was a wrestler. I mean, it's such a different world. In wrestling, it's a war. It's always a battle. I mean, you're go, go, go. The first person who tires out gives up. You're done, you lose. It's all on you. All the pressure's on you. You feel that weight. Here, you come in, you have a hard training, you stand up, wow, you did so good. Really, you shake their hand, give a hug. Wrestling, you get done, you might be pissed off, say all these things, get away from me. This isn't that. These are my friends. I can finish training, go out, have dinner, lunch, hang out with their families. It's just a community that makes you feel accepted. From growing up and then wrestling, I had that work ethic, but Jiu-Jitsu gave me that balance. But even I'll be doing other things. Get stressed out, take a deep breath, relax, it's okay. And I think Jiu-Jitsu has really been where I've gotten that from. I'm Marshall Locke, and I'm Matt Made.
Get emotional just talking about it. I have a 14-year-old son, so our relationship because of Jiu-Jitsu has really grown. I get to do this and experience this with him like on a daily basis. My life's changed because all I do now is think about Jiu-Jitsu. I haven't missed a day since I started training, so I've been training a year and a half without literally missing a day. In that time, I went from weighing 245 pounds to where I'm at now, which is about 185 pounds. All my social life is all centered around people in Jiu-Jitsu, really being around men that I can trust and admire. My name is Mike Garganisi, 59 years old, and I'm Matt Made.
I hope this Matt Made story has inspired you. If you have your own personal story of how these mats have changed your life, I would love to hear it. Click the link in our bio.